Hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're talking about Azure AD. AD is Active Directory. What is Active Directory that you have to understand? So take a snip of this first, right? So what is Active Directory? Have you heard of Active Directory anytime? Rian and Rufi, you can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Rufi, what about you? Are you able to hear me? Rufi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
So Active Directory, actually, in an organization, a lot of people are working and we want access control. So we want two things actually. One is authentication and other is authorization. So authentication means identifying the user. Authentication means identifying the user and means it can be by username password. It can be mostly username password, or it could be, two-step authentication like username password plus an OTP comes, like that. So that is how authentication is done generally. Other thing which is required is authorization. So authentication is one thing, another is authorization. Okay. What is authorization? Authorization means giving limited access to information. Just a second. So authorization means like, okay, once you get access to the system, then only limited access you should get. You should not get everything there. That is authorization. Authentication is identifying the user and authorization is getting limited access to the resources. So this is something which we require. So for on-premises network, we are using Active Directory. So it is a database of users, groups, security, etc. So it is used to create a domain in an on-premises networks. Domain is like a family of computers controlled by one or more domain controllers. So those who work on the corporate, if you go and work in a corporate, you'll find that we have something called as Active Directory. There's a domain controller. Domain means like a family of computers and users. And it has got one or more domain controllers. And the users are controlled. Users and computers are controlled through the domain controller. So domain controller is like head of the family. Okay, so have you taken a snip of this? Hello?
The domain controller is also called as the administrator.
Domain controller is a system. Administrator is a user within the system. Domain controller will be one computer which is functioning as a domain controller, which has information regarding the users, the groups, the security of the whole network. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Yes,
And
sir.
administrator is someone, administrator is a user. Administrator is nothing but a user. Right.
Yes, sir.
So so this is how it looks. You can see that it's always better to have two domain controllers. So in an office network, in corporates, normally they have two domain controllers. So just take a snip of this. So have you taken the snip?
Yes, sir.
It's raining today in Pune.
Nice weather.
Yeah, weather is very nice. So you can see there are two domain controllers. Why? Because one domain controller fails, the other domain controller can use the fault tolerance. It's like in a family, you have a mother and father. If mother becomes sick, father is there to take care of certain things and vice versa. So same way in an organization, when you set up a network, we have a multiple domain controllers so that if something gets wrong with one domain controller, we have another domain controller to take care of it. And they can also distribute the roles. We can't go into too much details of this, but ideally, why two domain controllers? One is fault tolerance and other is in case other is role distribution so that it is more efficient. Is this clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The role distribution is done for efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency. Like mother does some tasks, father does some tasks. So obviously, the family runs efficiently, correct?
Yes.
Same way. In case one person is not available, the role is transferred to the other person, right? So it's like that.
Yes, sir.
So same thing works here.
So there
So
should be minimum two domain controllers, but there can be more than two as well, or is this the
it
exact
can be
number?
more than two also. Sometimes you have elder brothers, elder sisters also controlling the family, right? So like that. You can have more than two domain controllers, but minimum two domain controllers are recommended for a particular domain.
Okay.
Getting?
Yes, sir. Sir, there is something written as single sign-on.
I'm explaining. Yeah, single sign-on means what?
You put only
Single-
user ID and you don't need to put the password. It signs on its own.
No. Single sign-on, like if you see this particular diagram which I've made, how many member computers are there in this domain?
5.
There are 5 member computers, right?
Yes.
So actually, when you see your laptops, it has got a username password. If there are 5 computers, so each computer will have its own username password, right? But
Yes.
we want that in an organization, only one username password we want for a particular user. We don't want to remember so many usernames passwords. Okay. So that username password is maintained in a domain controller. The domain controller maintains that username password. Getting?
So for all these 5 different computers, there will be 5 different username and passwords, or will there be same username and password for all of them?
That's what I'm trying to tell you, that you will have only single username password for all
But,
of them.
but that is not safe.
You will The username password is stored in the domain controller. Sorry, just a second. It's stored in the domain controller, not in the individual machine. So when you log in, the username and password will be verified by the domain controller. It's like a family user. So we don't use a local user, we rather use a domain user. So that is single sign-on. So irrespective of which computer you sit on, you have to use the same username password. So you are identified by a single username password. So that is single sign-on. So when you say single sign-on, it means a single username password will be used to identify yourself in the network. Getting clear now?
Yes, sir.
ऐसा ऐसा नहीं हो कि आप कोई सिस्टम को एक्सेस कर रहे हो उसके लिए फिर से यूजर नेम पासवर्ड पूछ ले। अगर आपने डोमेन सेटअप नहीं किया तो ये प्रॉब्लम आती है हर एक चीज के लिए। फॉर एवरीथिंग इट विल एवरी डैम थिंग इट विल आस्क यू फॉर अ यूजर नेम पासवर्ड। ओके।
Yes. So that means, for example, there are 5 computers in a company, and there are say 10 users. So all 10 users, like in shifts they are working and they are using these 5 computers. So all 10 will know the same username and password to access these 5 computers.
So each user will have its own username password, but irrespective of which computer they sit in, they have to use that same username password. Like you join the company, your credentials are created.
Hmm.
Rufi joins, Rufi's credentials are created. Rian joins, Rian's credentials are created. So with that credentials, you can sit on any computer and you have to use your credential. With your credential, everywhere it will work.
Okay, yeah, now it's clear, sir.
So that is
So,
called a single sign-on.
right.
एक चाबी से सब चीज खुलेगा आपको. You are identified as a single user for the whole domain. Domain में whatever you access, it is going to be a single sign-on like that. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
तो इससे क्या होता है कि सब कुछ एक जगह पर रहेगा. सारे यूजर्स एक ही डोमेन कंट्रोलर से ऑथेंटिकेट हो जाएंगे. एंड सारे मैनेजमेंट डोमेन कंट्रोलर के जरिए होगा. Complete management will be through the domain controller. Right? So this is the And you can set some policies also, centralized policies you can make, so that you can control all users and computers from a central domain controller. From a single domain controller, you can control everything. That is the idea about it. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes.
So snip ले लिया इसका.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is what I have already explained. Just note, take a snip of this and just give me a minute. So authentication authorizations, I explained to you just a while ago, right? So these are the terminologies which you should know. Understood? Authentication is proving identity of the user. Example, username, password. Authorization is permissions to access resources. Active Directory authenticates and authorizes users on premises. So when you talk about Active Directory authenticates and authorizes users on premises.
Sir, here every time we are using the word on premise, but does that mean that this is not in cloud?
Not in cloud.
Okay.
On premises is not in cloud.
Active Directory is not in cloud.
No, Active Directory is for the on-premise network.
Okay.
For cloud, we have something called as Azure Active Directory. That's what we're coming to. Active Directory works on the on-premises and Azure Active Directory works on cloud. Getting?
Yes, sir.
Clear everyone? Rufi, Rian?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is Azure Active Directory? It is not a replacement of the on-premises Active Directory. It can become extension of the on-premises activity. Small companies use Azure AD as the only Active Directory. So it cannot replace the on-premises Active Directory. So if you have Active Directory on premises, we cannot replace it with Azure Active Directory. But some startups, they take resources only on cloud. So some startups, they have they don't have any on-premises network, so they have infrastructure only on cloud.
So
So
why
then
it
what
says
will
it
happen
is
in that
not a
case?
replacement? Why it
Huh?
is saying this, why this first statement is made that it is not a replacement of an on-premise? What does it mean?
It cannot control the on-premises resources. It cannot become the identity and access management for on-premises. It is for the cloud. When you take some servers on cloud, some resources on cloud, then in that case, yes. In that case, Azure Active Directory will work.
So does that mean that if a company was initially on-premise and they had an Active Directory, and if they go on Azure cloud, then in that case, this Azure Active Directory will not have all the credentials that was there in on-premise?
Yeah, it is on-premises Active Directory is meant for on-premises networks, and the requirement is different. And Azure Active Directory is meant for identity and access management for the resources that you take in cloud. So that's why they say that it can become an extension of the on-premises Active Directory. So some small companies, they use Azure AD as the only Active Directory because they have all resources on cloud only. If any startup is there today, they don't consider taking any servers on premises. They always take servers on the cloud only. You're getting me?
Yes.
So that is the thing.
Okay, sir, understood.
So like this, you can see this extension here. Like so, अभी आजकल क्या है कि you have some resources on cloud, some on premises. So we need both. We need Active Directory to manage things on the premises and Azure Active Directory to manage resources on cloud. So this diagram explains that basically.
Sir, can you enhance this diagram a little bit?
Enhance means what?
Like the things that are written there are very small for me to read. Like expand it. Is there a possibility?
And second.
Like maybe full screen?
I'll try to expand it a little bit. Can you see now?
No, sir, I can see your email.
Huh?
I can see your email where you have sent yourself the PPT about Azure
Just a
AD
second. Just a
Outlook.
second.
I can see, sir.
Can you see now?
Yes, sir.
Little better.
Yes, this is better.
On-premises apps. See, this on-premises, so there is Active Directory which is using this Kerberos NTLM protocol for authentication. So these are the protocol names which it is using. So users, groups, authentication plus authorization is done by this on-premises Active Directory. So both the resources on cloud and whereas also the resources on premises, they both require this kind of thing. Okay. They require users and groups authentication and authorization. दोनों को जरूरी है. Right?
Yes, sir.
So the protocols which are used on the cloud are different. It's SAML, OAuth, OpenID, WS Federation. So there are a number of protocols which are used in cloud for authentication. It's a beautiful picture. Have you taken a snip of this,
Yes, sir.
Rufi and Rian?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So we have the following cloud offerings like Microsoft Azure, Microsoft 365, Microsoft Intune, Microsoft Dynamics 365. So all these are cloud offerings which we have here. So whenever we sign into any one of the above, we are assigned one default directory. Yeah, like we are using now Microsoft 365, Office 365. So
Yes,
these
sir.
are software as a product, We have seen that we have three types of offerings in cloud. Infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So software as a service products, they require some authentication and authorization. So that is provided by Microsoft Azure Active Directory. So we have Office 365 product, and it is actually using Azure Active Directory for authentication and authorization. So whenever we sign into any one of the above, we are assigned one default directory. तो एक डायरेक्टरी बन जाती है वहां पर. So we have to study all these things. Practically, we'll see what is Azure Active Directory. We have exercise based on that. So directory has the users and groups which can access the resources which are purchased. So whatever resources we are purchasing, so we have to make users and groups on the Azure Active Directory. The default directory is referred to as tenant. A tenant means an organization. So whenever you purchase any of these products, एक आपको Azure Active Directory मिल जाती है. और उसको टेनेंट बोला है बिकॉज सारे सब रेंटल ही है ना. टेनेंट सब भाड़े करू है बोलते हैं ना. ऑल आर लाइक दैट.
Yes. Sir, once an Active Directory is created for a machine or for some user, and for example, if there is a mistake, spelling mistake, or if the user has left the organization, or there are two names, two users with the same first name, last name, then what happens in these three scenarios?
माय गॉड 3 सिनेरियोस कहां से मिल गए. एक सिनेरियो बोलो मैडम.
First is wrong spelling.
हाँ.
Wrong spelling while creating the credentials for Active Directory.
अभी इसको कंप्यूटर को थोड़ी ना समझ में आएगा. सी इफ यू गिव रॉन्ग थिंग सो इट विल बी रॉन्ग.
We can delete it.
Yeah, we can delete and create the user again.
Okay.
Next question.
Uh, second was that if the user has left, then we can delete it.
Yes, we can
Okay.
delete or we can disable the user.
Disable
Next.
the. Okay. And two users with the same name, just like our
It
email
will
ID.
never accept. It will never
It will
accept
not
two
accept.
users with the same name.
Okay. So we'll have to add number 1 to like we do in our email IDs that we create.
Yes, we'll have to do something like that. Correct.
Okay. Okay.
That's
Thank you.
right. Okay.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Understood now?
Yes, sir.
Then now next is this subscription. Now you have to understand all these terminologies. What is the subscription? It acts as a billing and security boundary. Subscription is what? It acts as a billing and security boundary. So each subscription has a single account owner. So when you want to do something in cloud, first you have to take subscription. Subscription means what? Like you are when you buy when you start using cloud, you have to take a subscription. So it
Like
has a single account.
membership, sir. Membership.
Huh?
Membership.
Membership, you subscribe for it because you're a tenant, so you're subscribing for it, right? Like that. So account owner is responsible for all the charges. We can transfer the subscription to another account owner if required, and multiple subscription can trust one Azure AD. You need Azure AD for identity and access management, right? So Azure AD is required for identity and access management. So multiple subscription, the company can take multiple subscriptions. They all will trust one Azure AD. That is possible. But one subscription can be associated only with one Azure AD. You cannot have multiple subscriptions. One subscription can associate with only one Azure AD. One subscription cannot be associated with more than one Azure AD. It means that. So it's like many to one. Many subscription can trust one AD, but many ADs cannot be used for one subscription like that. So resources such as databases, virtual machines, websites are associated with a single subscription. So when you create a virtual machine, it is associated with a single subscription. So users and groups can be added to multiple subscriptions. The user or group should be known to the Azure Active Directory. So let's take a snip of this. इसका snip ले लो एक. हम प्रैक्टिकल करेंगे तो और समझ में आएगा इसके बारे में. ठीक है? लिया snip.
Yes, sir.
So this is a diagram
Yes,
which
sir.
illustrates that.
सर अभी स्क्रीन विजिबल नहीं है. अभी आप फिर से एक बार शेयर कर सकते हैं स्क्रीन.
हाँ.
अभी स्क्रीन चली गई, विजिबल नहीं आ रही है स्क्रीन.
नहीं तो वो तो शेयरिंग है. शेयरिंग दिख रहा है ना बाकी लोग को.
यस सर दिख रहा है.
फिर से शेयर कर दो एक मिनट. आई शेयर
Yes,
अगेन.
sir. दिख रहा है.
आई शेयर अगेन जस्ट अ सेकंड.
Okay, sir.
ओके सर. यस सर, आ गया.
दिखता है अभी.
जी सर,
Yes,
जी
sir.
सर.
So you can see the subscription 1, subscription 2. Both are associated with one Azure Active Directory. Subscription 3 is associated with another Azure Active Directory, and the users, you can invite user from one AD to another AD like that. ये user ये organization का है, वो दूसरे organization में आप उसको invite कर सकते हो. That is possible. We'll see. There is some exercise based on that to illustrate this point.
Sir, when you say organization, that means different companies.
Yes, different companies आपका customer हो सकता है. उसको आप invite कर सकते हैं आपके AD में as a guest. You want to give the access to that person, so you can invite him. That is possible. We'll see how it is happening.
Right. Okay, sir.
Okay.
So we are only three people in the meeting right now. I think,
I think, yeah, just a second. Oh, drop off. एक minute.
yeah, he just joined.
Just a second. He's saying, let me in. He joined, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Now we
you
are
joined
four.
again.
यस सर, यस सर.
किसने आपको अंदर लिया? मिनल ने. मिनल आपने लिया क्या?
No, sir. वो अपने आप आ गए, ऐड हो गए. आप ही कर सकते हैं.
तो कुछ भी नहीं किया था. जस्ट अ सेकेंड. हाँ, ये ले लिया. इसका स्टेप लिया आपने.
Yes, sir.
यस सर.
Just take a snip and read this. Give me a minute. Okay, now we have something called as role-based access control. We talked about authentication and authorization. So, Rian, can you tell me what is the difference between authentication and authorization? Rian?
The authentication is providing identity to user.
Hmm.
Authorization is giving permission to user. Hello.
Yes. Yes. So,
Yes, sir.
authorization, role-based access control is that only authorization part. You are defining some roles. So, based on the roles, you can give permission. जैसे manager role होता है ना ऑफिस में कैसे manager role, agent role. So these roles will do certain tasks, right? ये certain tasks कर सकते हैं, right? तो वही
Yes,
यहाँ
sir.
पर हाँ, that is what is happening here.
So the manager will have more roles than
तो
subordinate who
यहाँ
is
पर
yeah.
जैसे मैनेजर रोल हो गया, एजेंट रोल हो गया, तो उनके कोई परमिशंस रहती है ना, ऑथोरिटीज रहती है उनको, वैसे ही यहाँ पर देयर सम बिल्ट इन रोल्स. The Azure has defined some built-in roles which can be assigned. Getting me?
Yes.
Built-in
Yes, sir.
roles होते हैं जो assign कर सकते हैं हम. The Azure resources and Azure AD have independent permission management system. So Azure resources मतलब आपका virtual machines हो गए, databases हो गए, तो उसको रोल उसके रोल्स अलग है, परमिशन मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम अलग है. और दूसरा Azure AD हो गया. Azure AD is for application management. एक हार्डवेयर हो गया, एक सॉफ्टवेयर हो गया, राइट? यू वांट टू मैनेज एप्लीकेशन एज वेल. So there are two types of roles. So when you just say Azure roles means it's to manage the resources, but you also have Azure AD roles to manage the accounts, passwords for application management like that. Even application you want to control, like this particular application, who can access and who cannot access. So that is also another thing which you have to understand. Clear? So there are two types of roles you will see, Azure roles and Azure AD roles. So Azure roles are used to manage the resources such as virtual machines, storage, etc. Azure AD roles are used to manage user accounts and passwords for application management. So roles are a collection of permissions which are assigned to users or groups. लिया इसका स्निप ले लिया.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So these are the default Azure roles. So we can make our custom roles also, but these are the default Azure roles, you can say. Owner, contributor, reader, user access administrator. These are the default roles. Take a snip of this. Okay, so these are the default Azure roles: owner, contributor, reader, user access administrator. These are the default roles. Okay, owner means has access to all the resources with the ability to delegate access to other users as well. Contributor can create and manage Azure resources. Are you guys listening?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The owner has access to all the resources with the ability to delegate access to other users as well. Contributor can create and manage Azure resources. The reader can only view existing Azure resources. And user access by administrator can manage access to Azure resources. So some roles are defined. These are predefined roles which you can grant to the users for a particular resource. So resource means the hardware resource. It can be database, it can be a virtual machine, it can be storage, वो resource हो गया. So for that we have Azure roles. And these roles are predefined and these roles can be assigned to the users to access these devices or resources.
Sir, you said resources can be virtual machine storage and what else?
Databases,
Database.
virtual machine storage and databases like this.
Okay, sir.
Getting so owner access, contributor access, reader access, user access, administrator like that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So some people you can give only reader access, you existing Azure resources like that. Some people you can give contributor access, can create and manage Azure resources. So they can create the storage, they can manage means they can make the settings for the resources. And owner means they can even give permission to other people like that. So that is the difference. And user access administrator means they can give access to other people because we don't want the main administrator to do all the tasks. So we want to delegate it. So we make a user access administrator who can give access to other people. That is the whole idea.
So, sir, in the previous slide, if you can just take us back once more. Sir, in this roles that we have, the maximum authority is with the owner.
या अगर ओनर एक्सेस दे दिया किसी को तो सब कुछ कर सकता है ना वो रिसोर्स के साथ. That person can do everything with the resource.
And then it is user access administrator, second highest authority wise.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah.
I'm just trying to understand the hierarchy here. And then it's contributor, and the last one is reader.
Yes. Okay. Now scope for Azure roles. So actually we have 4 levels. Subscriptions तो हमने देखा. Whenever you buy an account in Azure, it is called subscription. So you can have a company can have many subscriptions, and even to manage all the subscriptions, again it is a problem, right? So we have something called management group. So one management group can have number of subscriptions, and each subscription can have number of resource groups. So yesterday I told you what is resource group, right? Azure का पूरा solution resource group में होता है. One resource group will have the entire solution. So subscription में काफी resource group होंगे और resource group में resource होगा. So these are the 4 levels. So we can apply Azure roles at any of these levels. You can apply at the management group level, you can apply at the subscription level, you can apply at the resource group level, you can apply at the resource level. So any of the levels we can apply. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
understood?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Management groups, it helps to group all the subscriptions in one container. Okay, easy to manage a number of subscriptions belonging to an organization. That is management group. Helps to group all the subscriptions in one container. Easy to manage a number of subscriptions belonging to an organization. I already explained you what it is, right? Take a snip of this.
So just give me 1 minute. I'll take snip of that previous one.
Huh?
Management. Okay. Yes, sir. Second.
क्या बोले?
Yes, sir. Snip ले लिया इसको.
Next is subscription. It is a billing entity. Resource usage groups, reports, billing, payments, everything is depending on each subscription. A bill is generated for each subscription. So billing entity, there's subscription. Okay. And third is resource group. So it is an Azure solution. It contains all the related resources for a solution. So when we go to Azure, first thing we have to create resource group. To do anything, we have to first create a resource group, and inside resource group, we'll create all the resources. Whatever we want to do, we will be doing inside the resource group. All right.
Yes, sir.
Then we have Azure AD roles. So this we'll do the next time. We have seen the up to Azure roles. Azure AD roles is for the applications. So in the next class, we'll continue with this. So next class will be on Friday, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Just a
sir.
second. Just a second.
So these groups that you told us, we will be creating all these groups.
Those are